Today is March 6th. We've had a week full of baseball games. No, these games still don't matter, but it's fun to watch baseball. So let's do the thing where we talk about what we watched this week. It's the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys! Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother, Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, man?
Finishing my vanilla cream for the night.
There you go.
Little cream soda. It's almost gone.
Yeah.
And, recording a podcast.
Interesting. Me too.
I watched that game. What I could see of it. It was fast forward, so I had to watch it like in half speed just so I could actually enjoy some baseball today. And then I sat up. Was that too much? Did I go there too soon? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I sat down in my sunroom and watched the sunset and just let things slow down there a little bit. How's your day?
Oh, not too bad. Got, punched in the face by my pastor this morning, but that's fine. Little gut check. Not really. Not that, he was on a screen, so. Reality check.
Yeah, I get it. So, spring training is, I know we said spring training is here last week, but for real now, we've had a full week. We're 9 games in. Pirates have a record.
I don't even know what it is. I'm 100% honest. I don't even know.
No, I don't.
Couldn't even guess.
No, you couldn't, because you would typically say something that would equal to 9. But it doesn't.
Right.
Because we've tied a couple times. So that doesn't even equal that. So it's fun to watch baseball. We have had a full week with the pitch clock. Maybe we'll get into that. That is one of those things today that I said that we will get to it if we have time. I would love to talk about it. So we'll see how we move. Because I am criticized heavily for not really taking a stance one way or another on a lot of things. I can do real good at riding the middle of the ground. I love living there where I'm like, I see both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not just riding the middle here. I'm literally going back and forth between the two. I'm not just hovering.
Yeah.
On whether or not I like it or not. That's where I'm at.
I think a lot of people are like that, though.
Yeah, and I feel like the people who aren't are really... I feel like they stretch a little bit. You're allowed to like things and dislike things about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's some people who say, yeah, but I'm willing to trade that off. That's reasonable. But the ones that go all in, I'm like, no, you don't like games ending on an automatic strike. Don't pretend like you do just because you want to like everything. I said we weren't going to talk about it. We might talk about it.
Right.
This isn't us talking about it.
I have a little bell up here. I think I'm going to start dinging you when you get to a certain point.
When I ramble. That's what I do. I ramble.
Sometimes.
Manny Machado signed a great big giant deal this week. On top of his great big giant deal that he already had.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It rubbed me the wrong way. Come on, man. That's selfish.
I get it. And then so we had this, conversation. I like the way that you still brought it exactly the way that you did. You signed a contract with an opt-out clause in the contract. So I'm kind of like, I get it. It's there. It exists. But Yeah, I just don't see. If you were going to stay there,
Mm-hmm.
I that's where I'm kind of like, you had 5 more years there. Did you need 11 more?
Right.
He
And
added
it's
6 years to his deal, and I mean, they either are they're either convinced the world's going to end before those guys get to their 40s, or they're going to do the Eric Hosmer, like, we'll still pay for you, but you can play for somebody else. There's no way they keep all these guys in their 40s.
I mean, they could always offload it the way that the Mets did the Bonilla deal.
I think that would have already been signed, right? I guess you could could restructure
that was
anything.
So I looked it up one day because I wanted to fact check, make sure I was using the right number to somebody, and it was an opt out. They were letting him go, they were buying him out, and instead of paying him, which it was a stupid deal on the Mets part. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
Because they could have bought him out for like $8 million, and instead they're paying him like $30 million because they're paying him $1 million every year for 30 years.
But they couldn't have done 8 million at the time. It would have been an absurd amount.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it was like 4 or 5, something like that.
Either way.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make any sense. Like, he's a genius. That's crazy, man.
So anyway, I mean, they're still gonna have to do that with so many players at this point, and they're like, we're still talking with Soto. What are you doing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Crazy, man.
Listen, if they win 2 World Series with this core, I'll give it to you. 1, no, waste of money. You could have done that. You could have done that without Machado, without one of them at least. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have.
Yeah.
100% you could have. Anyway, moving on. Right now is always the, first week of spring training. We're always looking for who's coming in, typically pitchers, and who's going to get the unfortunate end of things where they're too soon to things and they end up getting hurt. And that turns out being Tyler Glasnow, to keep it close to home here. Oblique 6 to 8 weeks? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks.
Strain.
Yeah.
6 to 8.
So this is very critical, and I know I try not to be negative about a lot of things, but Tyler Glasnow will be hurt or he won't be good. That's just the way it's going to go with Tyler Glasnow. Whether it's his tall, lanky build, or whether it's just the fact that in order for him to excel, everything has to be 100%, and that's not sustainable.
Right.
So, it's unfortunate, but I mean, you kind of see this coming from him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Joe Musgrove, this is one of the bizarre ones. Drops was it a kettlebell? He dropped on his toe, broke his toe.
Oh yeah.
He's out for a little while. And then this isn't close to home, other than the fact that Gavin Lux should be playing for the Pirates, and he's not. But that injury to Gavin Lux was heartbreaking.
Yeah. That was a freak thing, and it's just that sucks.
When you got a guy saying, I should have just wore that ball in the face instead of tried to get out of the way, and it's like, well, obviously it's not true, but that's how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
You finally get an opportunity, Corey Seager, and then when they don't have Corey Seager, it's Trey Turner, and you're like, when am I going to get my chance? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And, you could make the case that the Trey Turner piece was the part of oh, you got Trey Turner because you're the Dodgers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it was a trade and they had to give up good pieces to do it, you still could do it, right?
Right.
And then your homegrown guy, Gavin Lux, kind of gets pushed aside. Now he gets his opportunity. And by the way, the reason I say he should be here is because that's the guy we were asking for Felipe Rivero.
Yeah.
that they said no thanks, and then we got what we got by keeping him. So wish that would have worked out.
Yep.
And maybe he would be better because he would have been blocked for all that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, things like that. It just sucks when it happens. We haven't had that. Boy, we had a scare today with, not quite to that extent, but with McCutcheon getting hit in the hand. A little bit of a scare. But we're holding our breath a little bit for Harleen Garcia as we go into the week and, the guys and spring training and everything. Let's get into everything. But let's go ahead and start with Harleen Garcia. Comes out of the game today, Sunday. Or what? No. Saturday.
Yeah, it was Saturday.
It was Saturday. Yeah, it wasn't today's game. Came out of the game, left arm tightness. That's what they're marking that as. Looking for my note here. Here it is. He's having an MRI Monday, and that's all we know. So we know that arm tightness is code for we're looking at it, nothing to report. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's funny because you're like, oh no, left arm. That's what they said about so-and-so, and he missed half the year. Sure, but they've also said that about everyone else who didn't even miss a start. You know what I mean? Like, that's just code word for we're not telling you anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't remember when they say that about the guy who misses maybe a start. You know what I mean? Or for a relief pitcher, like he just doesn't pitch for a week. You don't remember that, but you remember it for the guy who had to go get Tommy Johns afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Or shoulder surgery or something like that. So that's what you're holding your breath for. And the reason I say holding your breath is like we brought this guy in and like we don't have our only other lefty reliever on the 40-man is a Rule 5 pick. And I'm not sure that's what you want to go into the season with. Like you just, what I'm saying? Rule 5 pick. I'm not sure that's at some point you're going to have to throw a lefty in the 8th inning. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but I'm not sure that you know that yet.
Right.
And so to just rely on one guy there, I mean, you could say, well, that opens a door for maybe some of these guys that we've even said they're not making the team, whether that's Yuri De Los Santos or Dowry Moretta or I don't have the list. Actually, I have the roster up over here, but that list of guys who we think could be on the outside looking in. I mean, shoot. Johan Ramirez, that's the other one. Johan Ramirez, Colin Holderman, all those guys have options, right? And so when we did our math, they're not all going to be there.
Right.
Especially if Johan Oviedo's there. And if you've looked at the schedule for April, and I think I said this last week, it's very possible they go with a 6-man rotation in April. Usually April's like, you get days off. Like this year they have 2 days off in April. And so a 6-man rotation is very possible.
Yeah, and that's not a thing that just the Pirates are doing either. There's multiple teams out there looking at going in a 6-man rotation to start the year.
Do a lot of teams not have days? Is it similar? I mean, I would assume a lot of them would be, but
I've been watching the spring stuff on MLB Network or going around the league.
Yeah.
And there's been, I can't remember all the clubs exactly who they were, but there's been multiple clubs that said, they're considering that 6-man rotation to start the year.
Well, I mean, I think
they're calling it the grueling April.
Yeah. I mean, it's there, but also on top of that, I think this pitch clock is going to make guys fatigue a lot faster. Are we talking about it again? Listen, we are always going to be talking about it. It is part of the game. And I think it's changing the game in a way that maybe we didn't realize. But to stay on Harleen Garcia, like, you know what? The most unfortunate piece of this is that he comes out of a game on Saturday, which is the same day that Will Smith signs with Texas for $1.5 million for a year, and Brad Hand signs with Colorado for $2 million on Saturday. So there's no pivot. Like they could go sign Steven Brault. There's no like, if he's hurt, we know our cast. Did I write him down? I thought I wrote him down here. I didn't. I just said the NRI pool, which is a great move on my part because then I have to look it up. Angel Perdomo, Caleb Smith, Daniel Zamora, and Rob Zastrizny. We're looking at those guys and saying who's going to step up and be that guy who. And now you're talking about a 40-man move?
Come on, Tony Watson was in the booth today. Bring him back.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He's been out for 2 years.
Did he not pitch? He pitched a little bit last year, didn't he?
I don't think so. Because he was in the booth. He was talking about last year being his first summer in Florida.
Okay.
Where he lives.
I thought he actually retired this year because he said the lockout and everything last year. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's all we're talking about.
Sorry.
It was good to see Tony Watson though.
Yeah. And
hear from him and all that good stuff. But anyway, there's no pivot, man. Like one of these guys will step up if he's hurt. The question somebody mentioned today on Twitter, like no word on whether or not he'll play in the WBC yet. First off, let's see what the MRI says.
Right.
That before you say anything, they're going to wait for that MRI. Because this may be a non-issue.
Right.
If he's hurt, he's not going to the WBC.
Right.
And we don't even have to have this conversation. Right. Otherwise, if he's not, he's still not going to the WBC. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the Blue Jays just scratched Vladdy. He's not going now.
Yeah.
Because he left the game with something, but
I didn't read the report. Did the Blue Jays scratch him or did he just scratch him?
I guess I'm not 100% positive on that, but
if I'm a player and I do have something, I have a responsibility to be available for the Blue Jays this season. The last thing I'm going to do is go to the WBC and risk that. Right?
Right.
That's your responsibility. You signed a contract to play for that team. WBC is what it is for people, and that's fine. But it is exhibition games, and it's a cool thing that teams allow you to do. Like that's not, that's the one thing I think is misunderstood. Like you go to your team and you say, "Can I do this?" Basically, sure you might go about it a different way, but that's essentially what's happening. Like they don't have to.
Yeah.
Everybody who goes to the WBC from MLB, like that's like, oh wow, their team's gonna let them do that. In my opinion. And I know that some people treat it a different way. You can say what you want, about how important it is for people, and that's fine, right? To each his own. But if he's coming out of a game because of arm tightness, no, we're not going to play that game. Like you've got to be available for the season, especially when you're looking at a team like the Pirates. I'm not saying anything about those 4 pitchers we just named, but they signed minor league contracts. Right. So they're obviously, they weren't somebody you were looking forward to being on your team on opening day.
Right.
So I'd much rather have the guy that you were looking forward to having on your team on opening day.
By the way, Vladdy withdrew.
Okay. So there you go. See, that's the player making the choice. And I wouldn't be surprised if Harleen Garcia makes the same choice.
Right.
Much like Andrew McCutchen today said, I got hit on the hand. Like what am I going to do in spring training? Like, what is the purpose of running here? Because he was hit by a pitch, umps. Like, what are you looking at? They had to say it hit the bat, right?
No, they said that he made an attempt at a swing.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm like, no, that's not even in the realm of possibilities. No, you had your back turned to the play and you made that up. Yeah. If you would have said it hit the bat, it was a foul ball, I'd be like, all right, there's no replay. He thought it hit the bat. He made the call. You have to stick with it.
Well, in the broadcast, they never really did explain what the call was. Like Greg Brown and Wainer didn't know what was. They're like, I don't know what's going on.
No, Of course they didn't. All right, so let's move on from this. Let's see what we get from Harleen Garcia. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully we hear good things. He threw 22 pitches at 12 strikes. I mean, there's clearly something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried about what happened before the injury, right? Because what it looks like is the injury was happening from the time he took the mound. So, I mean, like, I don't care about the scores of these games. I don't care, like, what happened and how we got through these. But let's talk about a couple things here that we saw this week. What are you looking at? What's kind of sticking out? I know pitching is kind of weird because, like, it's easy to say, like, well, pitching's ahead. Because it is. They're ahead. But at the same time, sometimes they're working on stuff. So
right.
Sometimes it's like, well, I was trying this new thing. It's not working. But
well, yeah, I mean, you heard Brubaker. I mean, you brought this up. I mean, he says, "Oh, I felt good about the first outing." We're like, it didn't look great at first, but literally all they're going is by feel. Like, my body feels good. I don't care what happens right now. My body feels good.
Yeah, first outing, he got hit real hard. And then he settled in. I would have much rather have heard him just say that. Like, I didn't get the results I wanted early, but then, we settled in and got our control underway. Instead, he was just like, felt great. And I'm like, no. But then, and so when I first heard that, this was early, right? This is Monday, game 2. And I'm like, I don't like that. But then the more you get through the week, the more you remember, oh yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, if he felt good, he felt good. He knew he was going to miss location.
Yeah. I mean, your first time in there with hitters in the box. I mean, other than some, like, I'm sure they were throwing to hitters, but
yeah, but that's different. That's way different.
Yeah. Getting out there on the mound there. I mean, you expect first time out to be a little, you got to knock everything loose a little bit.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, Brubaker's swing and miss is still there.
Yeah.
I really think, depending on how this season goes, like, he is a potential bullpen guy for sure. Before I'd give up on him, I think I'd try him in the bullpen.
Really?
Because of that swing and miss. I really do think so. Because if he could cut everything but the fastball slider out, or the sinker slider, however whatever he's got going there, I mean, it's there, man. Like, he gets a lot of swing and miss, especially on the slider. And as a reliever, you only need 2 pitches. And he could be really good. Even though I've never really seen him that way, the more you look at it, the more you're like, yeah, dude, I could see that. And before I would give up on him, I would try that.
I mean, I can see what you're saying, but it's going to be one of these young guys coming up and taking the rotation spot.
Right.
And it's going to be like, hey, Brew, we're going to put you out in the bullpen. We're going to take your swing and miss, and we're going to put it out in the bullpen.
He's got to be struggling in other ways, though, or else he's not the guy to be moved. If he's doing great, I think it's a good problem to have. You're just not gonna. They'll just not bring up a young guy. That's how they'll handle that.
Well, yeah,
but still,
I'm looking at him to have a pretty good year this year.
Okay.
The other guy I'm looking to have a good year is Colin Holderman.
We've been hearing about it, and we talked about it early where we said Colin Holderman still has options. I just don't see him making this team. And then we've had some people say, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so I opened it up. I said, all right, I'll pay attention. And here I am. And here you are. What do you got?
I mean, he's throwing 97, 98 with movement. He's getting weak contact. His stuff just looks good, man.
He got some, I mean, he's putting the ball on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had 2 balls hit real hard today, but they're just beat right into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, he walks out of that knowing, like, that's what I expect to see. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, dang it, I missed. No, he didn't. Like, that was his goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, So far, so good. It does look good. And everyone that you hear from outside of games who are getting an opportunity to watch, they're writing his name down.
Mm-hmm.
Which, goes to show it can click at any time. Things can happen. We just talked about those 4 lefties.
Yeah.
If something clicks with one of those guys, they've all been in the league. They've all had cups of coffee. Caleb Smith, a little bit more than a cup of coffee.
And these relief pitchers, you never know. A lot of times I look at relief pitchers as let's catch that lightning in a bottle, because they can have 2 outstanding years, fall off the face of the earth. 5 years later, you're like, wasn't he? And he figured something else out.
Yeah.
And it's the way a lot of these relief pitchers, they're not always good their whole career. And they're not, some of them, like Sestrizny, when we were looking at him, he's like 30 years old, but you just never know when it's going to click.
Yeah. Just trying to think of what else we were looking at. So Travis Swaggerty, I know, we're kind of talking about him. He is, there's at least something there. It's maybe not, he's hitting the ball hard. He had that throw. He had to throw from center field to get the runner at home, which has probably been, it's been a week of baseball, right? It's been 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
So at the 1 week mark, that throw from center field to get the guy at home is probably the most impressive play I've seen this spring so far. As far as like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like we're still waiting for somebody to kind of like, for somebody to jump up and say, let's talk about this guy. Right? Because it hasn't happened yet, but it's been 1 week.
Right.
So how do you even expect to have a guy to talk about after 1 week? Because if you are, you might be premature. Which is why I say, like, Swaggerty might not be anything other than, all right, I'm paying attention. But it's at least that. It's at least I'm paying attention because there is a spot available, and he has every right to that spot as Cal Mitchell and Kanan Smith and Jigba and whoever else you want to put on that list.
Yeah, and I just want to, on that, along those lines, it's nice to see that most of the guys on the team are something to talk about. We don't have even I saw the Chavez Young, and I think I texted you, I said, this dude isn't terrible. Like, it's not watching Anthony Alford. It's not watching some of these guys that we've had the past couple years, and you're just like, what in the world? This guy might make our team. Like,
right. Yeah. And when you look at a guy like Chavez Young, there's no shot he's making the team. Right. And he still looks every bit as good as Anthony Alford did, who we knew was making the team.
Yeah, but at least I can look at a point of Chavez's Young game, and I can say, dude can go get the ball in the outfield. Like, he can go get it.
Sure. And he's athletic. And
he's a defensive guy. I mean, there's no way around that.
Yeah. But Swaggerty has at least shown that his name is still in the hat.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to see early on is, there's been some really hard hit balls on hits and outs. And I think that's the big thing, because defensively we know he's going to be the best of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Which you're talking about Cal Mitchell. Maybe that's not all that much to say, but he's going to be the best of the group. So I don't know. I think it's good. He's put his name in the hat. It's in there. He's still available. Speaking of putting your name in a hat, second base. What do you got here so far?
Still, we're a week in.
No, I was going to see if I had a cricket sound effect, because that's basically what we have right now.
I was like, what happened with the recording?
Nope. Yeah, the recording's fine. Yeah,
no, we're a week in. There's just not a lot.
You're a week in, but this is the one thing in most cases, and I'll say this because this will be a topic of discussion probably every week. is going to be second base, because not very often you go into spring and say, okay, this position is a battle. In the last few years, it's not really been a battle. It's been who's going to get it.
Yeah.
But this is a real, like, I want somebody to show up and take this position.
Yeah. And if I'm going off what people are saying, then Castro's the front runner, because everyone's like, oh, this is a new look Castro. He's focused. He's locked in. But like, okay. I mean, all I'm going to do is take your word for it at this point.
I think if Castro doesn't change, like if he is what he is and he doesn't take a step up, then you're going to end up with a 230, 240 hitter with 25 home runs. And if he does that at second base, I'm very happy. The 25 home run part, right? I'm not really happy of somebody hitting 230, but you see what I'm saying? Like, if he can give you passable defense at second base, which I believe he can, I think he's best at third, but if he can give you passable defense at second base where he makes some plays and you know that you're probably going to deal with some plays that he doesn't make, and he can hit 25 home runs, like he's still, there's still value there. And I think he's got that. If he takes a step up, then that average comes up. I don't think there's a whole lot. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I don't even know that. I'm not sure he's like a 30 homer guy, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's 20 to 25.
I think he's capable of a 30 homer season, but I don't think he's a 30 homer guy.
I got you. Yeah, I got you. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the year that it all clicks, right? Gets a few extras. I could see that. But either way, I think that's the thing with Castro for me right now is I see that as a player and I say, I could go with that. The other guys, it's a little more of a, what do you have, right? If they hit light, neither one of them have the power to make up for it.
Yeah.
And having speed to make up for hitting light doesn't work. Because you got to be on base for it, right?
Yeah.
I think that both of them maybe would be better defensively. I'm going off of assumption with Bay. With Marcano, I've seen it. I think defensively, I think he's the best of the group, and I think that it could be very good, at least from what I've seen and whatnot. But Marcano is the one who made the news this week for striking out in 20 seconds. So,
yeah,
full at bat, 20 seconds, and then walks off like, what just happened?
Yeah, and that was if you get down 0-2 that quick, you better use your timeout, buddy.
That's a good point. Use it. You're down 0-2. Yeah. That was pretty quick. But either way, none of the three of them have jumped up and said it's mine. And I would really hope that those three guys would have came into camp, especially Bay and Castro, because I feel like if they've been the front runners the whole time, they should have came in like ready to go. I mean, to be fair, Castro did it the Grand Slam early, but it's been a lot of not much since. He did get 2 hits today. He's unfortunately, he's hitting 231 right now, and that separates him from the pack. You know what I mean? And so like it's turning into, or I'm not even saying that because it's week 1. This has the potential to turn into who gets it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, man, he came out and got it. He came out and won that spot and he deserves it. And now I'm excited. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to see from second base. And we're going to keep talking about second base. I think that's the thing. I think that's the big one. I think the outfielder thing is like I think they'll all get a chance.
Yeah.
I think they will. But it's just really who breaks camp. But this second base thing is because if Marcano and Bay don't get it, they still could break camp with the club. Certainly two of these guys have a shot of making because they're going to have backups in the infield.
Right.
And I think that, any of the three, although I don't really love Castro at short, any of the three can back up at shortstop too. So I would think that Castro makes the team regardless. It just matters whether he's a starter or a bench player.
Yeah.
And I like him as a bench player because of that pop. It's just not going to be 25 homers, right? It's going to be 12 to 15, depending on how much he plays. But Bay and Marcano both can play outfield. And so it's still an option for them.
Yeah.
But man, Bay it's week one. It's week one. Yeah.
Bagheera's striking the ball well.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a shot to make the team.
Yeah. There's a lot there that he still has to work on. But he's at over 300 if you care about a batting average after 1 week. If you care, I'm saying them. That doesn't mean that I care about them.
Yeah.
You had one more, and then I have one more guy that we just want to bring up and maybe say a little bit about, and then we can move on to our next deal.
Sure. Jack Sawinski, I mean, he's got to get this K situation under control. I mean, he's got 7 strikeouts already. 7. He's at 12 at bats.
Yeah. And this is
week 1.
That's fair too. Yeah, it's week 1. We have to keep saying that because it does matter. I mean, Connor Joe's hitting 375 right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's week 1. Let's see how this plays out. But, I mean, there are still things you can take away. There are still things that you can look at and say, Jack Sawinski, if he gets a hit his next at bat, he's over 300. It's not like it's the end of the world, right? So it's not like he's this awful hitter. But those strikeouts, if they start piling up, they become a bigger problem than just how, like...
It becomes a bigger problem the way it used to be a big problem. Listen, there's no shift anymore. Put the ball in play.
Yeah, I mean, it's for him, it's swing and miss. It's not even... I mean, we're not even talking on base percentage. Like, he's not even getting walked. It's not because he's looking and getting behind. Like, there's a lot of swing and miss.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a new batting average. He has a new batting stance. So there could be a little bit of that. There's a change in level. He's not crouched down a little bit. He's standing a little more up. He's a little more open. So there could be an adjustment there. His swing path and his finish look the same. So I'm not really sure that there's a whole lot change there. But where it starts, if he's doing that so that he could hit the ball more often, well, it hadn't happened yet, but it might.
Right.
He did hit 2 balls today, just absolutely. No, not today. He hit the home run earlier in the week. The ball he hit 110 off the base of the wall today was...
It was a shot.
And it's really funny because you actually brought him up, but I did text you and say, let's see if Jack can hit the broadside of a barn this time. I said that just like, being funny. And then like, and it was like 2 pitches later, and I think you or me just texted back, yep. he hit the broadside of that one. So that was pretty funny. I just have one more, and this is really just a quick note. It's not even really something I saw, but Alex Stumpf tweeted at some point this week that Cody Bolton is going to be a reliever this year. He's kind of bounced back and forth. And we had talked about this and said that he was a guy that we thought would be good moving to the bullpen. And, partially because of the group that is starters and his path and the injuries and the whole deal, that we thought this was a really good bullpen candidate. When you looked at his numbers as a starter and his numbers as a reliever, obviously that plays into it as well. And apparently that's happening. He is moving to the bullpen. They want to see him as a reliever. and I'm excited about this. When I look at the potential of this bullpen, and you start naming guys, and you say Holderman and Yuri De Los Santos, to name a couple, and I know Holderman's not quite young, but in his contract years he is, right? And then we say, we've been critical of guys like Underwood and Stevenson and things like that, you know what I mean? But as they phase out and you start to look at some of these guys, I tell you, I've been impressed with Dowry Moretta. I've liked what I've seen from him. Mm-hmm. And so when I start to see like a group like that and Cody Bolton in the mix, and you know what I mean, maybe one of these other guys, if this continues to happen, maybe it's this Brubaker, maybe Oviedo, however this plays out, I see it that you could make a run for, 2 or 3 years with a really good bullpen that if you have injuries, you could be okay. The next guy for me is Kyle Nicholas. I think he is prime to be a bullpen guy. But, as of right now, I think he's still a starter too. But I don't know, man. I like that move. And so I felt like it was worth saying. I think we'll see him this year. I mean, he's a Rule 5 guy that wasn't picked up, and I think we will see him this year. He's
got a better chance now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even though there's a lot of relievers who have a chance to go up and down, he does have a better chance. And we still don't know about Robert Stevenson. Right? We haven't seen him yet. He's still hurt. We don't know. Yeah. So we don't know how that's going to play out. So, all right, listen, we're going to roll. We're going to roll, guys. Follow us on all the socials. Bridge #2 Buctober. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We see the number of plays and downloads and everything, and sometimes it doesn't add up. So let's make it add up. All those good things. It helps us. It helps them push it to everybody else. As far as the audio and everything, do your thing. Spotify has rating. Give us a rating now. Cool. All right, let's keep moving here. I think I want to double down on it's spring training. It's week 1. I think I want to double down on this. It's been 9 games. We've essentially seen nothing. You know what I mean? We're not seeing guys. So this was the moment where I was going to talk about Brubaker's comments that you've already brought up. So this is good. The fact that he says that early on, and I say, I would have liked you to say it this way. And then you see some other people, and I was listening to, I knew I was going to forget. Why would I forget? Oh my gosh, Buck's Dugout. Is it Buck's Dugout? Yes, Buck's Dugout podcast for SB Nation. They had Jordy Mercer on. And I was listening to them talk about it, and this was on our things to talk about this week. And they were saying, "What did you think of spring training?" And he's like, "I think it doesn't matter." And he's just like, "That's how you act as a player. You're just trying to get right physically. You want to try things. You want to see things." Basically, he's like, by the end of the month, sure, you'd like to be where you want to be. That's when you care about whether or not you're striking the ball well. That's where you care about those sort of things. But even then, all the way through spring training, it is not, you don't think of it in terms of, let's go get a W today. You think of it in terms as getting right. You know what I mean? So that when you think of that, it's important and you can do it.
Yeah.
And we're just not there yet. It takes time and patience, and these guys have all of that during spring training. McCutcheon just saying, I just got hit in the hand. Let's wait. Let's not go do something stupid.
Yep.
And it's too soon to care about results. And that means wins and losses. And, Jack Sawinski striking out too much. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not going to talk about it.
Right.
I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're going to tweet about it. We're going to yell about it maybe while we're watching the game because, we got to get ready for the season too.
Mhm.
We got to know what to yell at the TV about as fans. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not saying let's not even discuss it. No,
Right.
it's fine. It's fine to discuss. It's fine to talk about the way that it goes the whole way through. But the fact is, the players right now don't care about results. The only pause I have with that is that second base job. That needs to be a thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not trusting the process on this. If there's a job that's mine and I go over 2 and my only 2 at bats because this is spring training, I only play half a game, I'm ticked.
Yeah.
No sprinkles on my ice cream tonight.
Sprinkles are for winners. No, I mean, but if you go 0 for 2 and you hit 2 line drives at 90 plus,
100%.
you're fine. But you're right. Our second base is a job opening, and there should be 3 to 4 guys fighting over it.
Even this early. And I'm not saying that there's a problem that I mean, who am I to say they're not?
Right.
We also know at this time of year it's a tricky one. Did I already say this about like pitchers are ahead, but yet pitchers are also trying out pitches. So it's hard to tell like which one you're getting today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just the idea that like they're not full go yet.
Right.
They're getting there physically. They're making sure that they're not doing anything stupid. They're putting in their work. But when that season starts, especially like we just talked about the April that the Pirates have coming, they'd be foolish to go out and sprint now and then come on the other side of April and just be gassed.
Yeah.
It's not even like, dude, it's not even that there's 2 days off in April. It's tough. Okay.
Well, one of the days off is because that's
the day off
March.
Before the home opener, and then not until Monday the 24th. Those are the only 2 days off.
Yeah.
And you're gonna go against Cincinnati and Boston, who, and you're going to those cities. So they are who they are, and we know what their projections are and everything. Both teams projected to be in last place in their divisions, but then you go against the White Sox, who are that's the home opener though, but that's a mixed bag. There are people going opposite directions on that team, and then you get Houston, and then you get St. Louis for 4. And that's a week, right?
Yeah.
And then you get Colorado for 3 and the Reds for 4. And then you have a day off. And then you got the Dodgers for 3. And then you got Washington. So it's not all like, but you got Houston, St. Louis, and LA, and then the White Sox. I'm not much for Colorado. They've got some guys, but I'm not much for Colorado. But it's also going to Colorado. On a Wednesday, you finish that one, you're coming right back to Pittsburgh for Cincinnati for 4 games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough schedule. We could very well not be in a great spot coming out of that month when you would think that this club you would want to come out and be good early. It just might not be in the cards. Our May looks a little bit better. May might be a better month.
Yeah.
But you can't go sprinting in March and be dogged for that type of a schedule in May. So you're going to see him ramp up, and then you're going to see him back down. Do you think? I think you see him back down a little bit towards the end. Their last 6 games or so, I don't think you're seeing starters going all game. Maybe. I don't know. They have
I think
they've
each
got
player
6
will
games.
be.
They got 6 games, day off, opening day.
Yeah, I think they'll be playing it by ear per player. Yeah, go get a couple swings in. When you're good, you let us know.
Yeah.
Something like, hey, I know I was only going to take 2 at bats, but I didn't feel good about that last at bat. I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out to 1 more at bat. All right. Yes. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you find the first week of spring training as a difficult week, like I do? This week to me has been more about the pitch clock than it has been about the games, because it is what it is, right? It's the first week of spring training. For me, it's just fun to watch baseball, but like it's hard because you want to see guys step up and start doing well, or you want to see, and if I'm going to sit here and say, well, this guy's struggling, but I don't care because, he's just getting right physically, then I have to say the same about anybody who's doing well, right? You can't I can be excited about it, sure, because I'm a fan and that's fun. But I can't sit here and say, wow, well, he's really locked in. Like, you kind of don't want to be locked in right now. We know baseball, it doesn't last long. Let's get locked in the last week.
Yeah, now he's hitting that ball off a guy with bagging groceries.
That's fun. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times do you use that line in a spring training season?
It was earlier this week. I tweeted and said, every time I hear somebody talk about anyone that does anything good, whether I agree with it, whether it's off of DeGrom or not, I just have in the back of my mind, I want to say that line. Even if I agree with them, it's like it just enters my mind. You should respond with this. No.
Yeah.
I just want to respond with it. So yes, I use it a lot.
Yeah.
Even if it's off of DeGrom, I still want to say it.
Absolutely. And to touch back base on what we were just talking about, the pitch clock, another reason it's hard to get over is, every single person, and I don't know if every broadcast is like this, but I know the Pirates have been, every single person that they talk to, how's the pitch clock work for you? What do you think about the pitch clock? How's it going? What are you changing it?
It's
every single player or coach that they talked to Robello today. They were asking him, honestly, I was in the player's ear on third base and there was a pitch thrown. I missed it completely.
This is the single biggest change that we've probably seen to this game.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's a little doubt for me because I'm sure there's something out there. Somebody's going to say, what about this? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. But, recency bias. This is the biggest thing. This is a shock that's going straight through. I still think there's adjustments that will be made. I think 15 seconds is too quick.
There's already been one, not adjustment, but the whole, they called Scherzer for a balk or whatever.
Quick
and
pitch.
They said, hey, we sent the memo out now. Everybody should know league wide, you can't quick pitch.
Yeah.
Because that thing that happened with Marcano probably won't happen again.
Was that actually a quick pitch though, or did they just move quick enough? I don't know that he was quick pitched. Because what's the deal? Like when he becomes alert, I don't think
he was ready that last pitch.
When you become alert as a hitter, you can't be set already from the stretch.
Right.
Before he's even alert to you.
Right.
When he's alert, then you can then get set.
Yep.
But you can't get set and wait for him to be alert, and then as soon as he's alert, throw the pitch. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
You have to wait when the hitter's alert and I say we're go, now you can come set. That's why they have to do it by 8 seconds. So that you have plenty of time to go through that. And
that's what it used to be. I believe it used to be a balk if you got your sign and you weren't on the rubber. Well, now they have pitch comm. They openly say, I was covering first. I'm on my way back to mound, and I'm already hearing the pitches, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
When you start to put a clock on it, you have to have your
and I agree with that. But, I mean, that used to be you
Yeah.
couldn't get a sign without being on the rubber.
Yeah.
So now you have to wait for the hitter to be ready. And I think the umpire needs to give something like, you're good.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
I think they do, right?
Not all the time.
Well, I guess your sign is the fact that the guy looks at you.
Yeah.
Which I think is the dumbest thing. If I've got both feet in, it's on me if I'm not ready. Well, but you said that's a safety thing. I get it.
Yeah.
That's a safety thing. I'm not going to go down that
said
road.
It's been in the rule book forever.
Yeah. So if you're not sure, basically they're saying that the hitter has to be alert to the pitcher. You can't let him throw that without the hitter being alert. And it's part of this. And they say it's a safety thing. And so I've made the case to say you can't have an automatic strike. At 8 seconds, the pitcher can throw the pitch. I don't care if you're ready or not. That won't happen because of that situation, because it's a safety thing. And the more, you start to think of that and you're like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. You know what I mean? Like you're plunking the side of the head and you're not even paying attention to it. But yeah, my biggest fear right now is that a regular season game ends on a pitch clock violation. I think that's absolutely unnecessary, uncalled for, unacceptable. Cannot happen. And it's not, especially saying like the way that they're so picky about it.
Yeah.
If I look at the pitcher with 10 seconds left, and then I look down at the plate so I can tap the plate and it hits 8 seconds, am I not alert to the pitcher and then am I get called even though I was already there? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I think it needs to go 20 seconds across the board. 15's too fast. Just change it to 20. Why even have two different numbers? Just change it to 20. Right. It's 20 all the time. These games are still going to go fast. 2 hours and 17-minute game is too short. Give me at least 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And for those of you who say we're not cutting out baseball, we're cutting out non-baseball, I want to know what you think action is. Because some of these people don't think that action happens until someone steals, someone hits the ball. Like, that's not true. Like a 2-1 changeup that just misses the strike zone to make it 3-1 was action.
Yeah.
And so if you're only saying that it's that time between two pitches, I would then even venture to say that there's baseball that happens there too. But I'll be lenient on that. It's not non-baseball. What is non-baseball is stepping out of the box just to undo your batting gloves and then do your batting gloves again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or to take a spin around and take 3 practice swings over in the grass. That's non-baseball, right? 1 foot out, get your sign, foot back in. And for the pitcher, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just step off 60,000 times and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the pitch clock it's a direct result of the players.
It is.
And their antics on the field. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm for it because I like pace to be better. But then I'm like, but it's just too fast. You know what I mean? Like we're borderline too fast here. So is there a middle ground that we can say like, yeah, we need to keep the game moving. I get that. They're going to lose a lot of money on concessions. I guarantee that. I won't be getting out of my seat. I'm not going to miss. I went in my own house. I didn't have to wait in line to check my cleat size, but I went and checked my cleat size today because I wanted to know. I came back down. I missed an entire half inning. It was just like, that's all the longer it took. Yeah. But 2 hours and 17 minutes today for a game where there was 8 runs scored. 7 runs scored. Should have been 8, but 7 runs scored. And 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's the time of the game is not the problem. The pace is. And we keep measuring it by the time. And maybe I'm a broken record. Maybe we talked about this last week. But the pitch clock has some figuring out to do. My biggest fear is that when the moment gets big, we're going to miss it.
Yeah.
it's not going to feel big. When it's the 9th inning and there's a guy on third with 2 outs and there's a 2-2 count on the hitter, gosh, like that should take some time.
Yeah.
Now maybe the pitcher will still disengage, and then he'll get back on, and maybe the hitter will still take his time out. Maybe the players themselves will be able to allow that moment to be big. But at some point, I'm going to feel like, well, that sucked. The game's over. Like I expected a few more minutes of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to fix a problem, and sometimes when you fix problems, you create new ones.
Yep.
So
overcorrection.
Yep. So we'll see. This is not going to be the last time we talk about this or anyone. This is the biggest topic right now.
It'll be almost all year.
And yeah, maybe when something happens, it will. I don't think it will be an every day. Right now, I think about it every time I watch the game. You know what I mean? But I think there will be days that it'll go by and you won't think about it. Especially when we get to like June and July.
Yeah.
But then if a game ends on a stinking automatic strike, we're all going to be up in arms.
What happens when that guy's pushing on the strikeout record? Somebody strikes out 20, and then they get their 21st K or something on it.
On an automatic.
Because no one stays in a game that long except Sandy Alcantara.
And he ain't going to now. One of the biggest problems, our starters don't go deep, and now we've just caused it. They're not going past 5.
See, I'm the opposite. I think you'll start seeing starters go longer.
They're going to have to not throw 99 every pitch.
No, their pitch counts are going to come down because the shift's no longer there, so hitters are going to be swinging.
That's fair.
The hitters are they don't want to worry about the pitch clock, so if they get that first pitch fastball, they're going to be hacking. I think pitch counts are going to go down, and I think in turn you'll see guys go deeper into the game.
If that's the case, I could see that. Otherwise, pitchers are going to be gassed.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that's the whole thing that pitchers are complaining about is they don't have their time. Like they've been taking extra time so that they can fully recover and throw 100 every pitch. They didn't used to throw 100 every pitch for a reason because they felt it was important to go 9 innings. And if these guys don't adjust and start, taking a little bit off every once in a while, they're not going to last either. And if they don't, they're just going to be hurt.
Which is, to Mitch Keller's standpoint, his dude's sitting at 95, 96 consistently, and I'm pretty sure I seen him hit 99 the other day because a hitter was fouling a bunch of pitches off. The at bat was taking long, and he just reared back, let one go, and just blew it past somebody. I'm pretty sure he hit 99.
So that's the thing.
He's cruising,
if you can hold that back and then go get it when you need it, then you're not going out there and yeah, that's fair. All right, you have anything to finish it off? I'm out of here, man.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
There's a game every day this week. Monday is a night game, so tonight for those of you listening on Monday. Wednesday afternoon is radio only. Somehow in 2023 we have radio only games, but is it?
You told me to listen to a game on the radio that one day. I said I don't have a radio, so
yeah. Well, but you got the app, right?
No,
you don't have the app.
No.
How do you not have the MLB app?
Oh, the MLB app, yeah, but I don't have a subscription to it, so you can't listen to it.
I thought you could. Spring training, you could still listen to the home broadcast. I think you might want to check next time. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week.
Yeah.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.